lot of my friends from my past, from churches that I've been members of, who would be more dogmatic about things. I've learned whenever people are dogmatic to stay away from them, that they are, and that's why I got so upset and around John chapter 15 about Facebook or YouTube seems to love to have clickbait telling you, how about some awful uh, Christian. Even our guidepost, I'd never read the guidepost again because they allowed a reporter to publish a story about a preacher, even though it was true for the most part, but you don't destroy other Christians in public like that. What the guidepost reporter should have done is went and talked to this individual and said, "Hey," and done Matthew chapter 18, like we were talking about last time, rather than publishing a hit piece on another Christian. And so, anyway, we need to be careful whenever if we see a brother who that is a Jew, Israelite, who is still practicing his Judaism, but he is a Christian, he is a Messianic Jew, then we should not judge them. That's what he's saying here. Verse 21, art thou called being a servant? Call not, art thou called being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. For he that is called in the Lord, being a servant, is the Lord's freeman. Likewise, also, he that is called being free is Christ's servant. In that day there were slaves and freemen. If a person were a slave or a servant of a man, he was not to try to get loose from that, thinking that God wanted him to be freed from his master. I find today that there are many housewives who get the notion that they are to become great Bible teachers. They get so involved in it that they neglect their families. I will never forget the story I heard about the late Gypsy Smith. And this is another story that he loves to tell. A woman came to him in Dallas, Texas, and said, "Gypsy Smith, I feel called to go into the ministry." He asked her a very uh, pertinent question. He had a way of doing that. "Are you married?" She said that she was. "How many children do you have?" She answered that she had 5. He said, "That's wonderful. God has called you into the ministry and he has already given you your congregation." Verse 23, you are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. You have been redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ. Now don't be a slave to someone. Does that sound like a contradiction? Let me explain by an example. A cocktail waitress was converted by hearing the gospel on our radio broadcast. That's J. Vernon McGee and not me. Everything about the Bible was brand new to her. She asked me a question about whether she would give up being a cocktail waitress because she just didn't feel right about it. I answered her that it was up to her. I said, that is a decision that you must make. If you have a conviction about it, then give it up. If you want to know what I think about it personally, I think you ought to give it up. However, don't give it up because I say so, but give it up if it becomes your conviction. She did give it up and found another job within a couple of weeks. She had been uh, bought with a price. She was not to be a servant of a man. And so that kind of tells